What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of DYAD in the Force. Episode, the topics are wrong. Episode 221. Actually, the topic isn't wrong. We can like, it goes under Star Wars. Whatevs.
Real quick, you want to share it on this screen as well so I can see things live?
Oh, sure.
But hello, everyone. How is it going? How's your Friday? How has your week's been?
I've only had 1 week since last time.
Well, you're not doing it right then.
How many weeks do you have in between episodes? 12. Dang.
I'm so good at time. I just like
you ignore it.
Double up, yeah.
So in the 12 weeks that you had in between episodes, were you able to watch episode 5 of All Devouring?
Yes, I am caught up.
Did you? I mean, did you sail the high seas, or did you actually join Billy?
Huh? No, Billy has an official YouTube channel that they air the show on.
Yeah. So did
if you subscribe,
because the latest episode for free is from last Saturday.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm on 4. Yeah, if that's right. If you join them, you get to see an episode like a week ahead. Yeah.
That's a member of the DYAD Squadron.
Hey, Kenny.
Hey, man. But I was right about the show. That show was freaking hype.
I know. That's why I joined to get the newest episode. Shout out to Kenneth Kari for being a member of the DYAD Squad for 36 months. That is a week and a half. That is a year and a half. No, that's 3 years. Yeah. Wow. Kenny, what do you want for your Dyad's Day? What do you think? What are you thinking? Also, I gotta set up this poll here. Have you given this stream a thumbs up?
Also another thing that we should discuss, whenever people, for people in the audience, obviously, Element 7 knows this, but whenever we get a donation, we call it a ramen drop. That's because last time we all were able to get together, we used all the donations to buy ramen for the whole DYAD community, right? So like the donations aren't just going into our pocket. We like to share it with you guys because we love that you're here and we love to talk to you and all this stuff.
Last time it all went straight to DYADCon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, for convention. Yeah. Are we gonna do ramen again? Do we need to make it a Korean barbecue? Might be too expensive, but I'm just curious. So do we want to mix it up? You want to keep it as a ramen drop? We can do a sushi drop. I don't know.
What do you guys in the chat think? Super chats, donos, membership. Should it still be ramen drops? I mean, it was pertinent for a couple of years. I mean, we love ramen.
I mean, yeah.
A tauntaun
I will
drop?
never be mad at.
Shout out to everybody in the chat for tuning in real early, the early squad. I'm a spooky kitty. Master James Kenobi, who says happy to make it for the podcast of Talon Card. Yes. You can no longer win though, because as soon as I sit down, Satil is with us. So you really can't win anymore by saying Talon Card in the chat. She's always invoked.
But Talon Card is also always winning,
True, but two things can be true at the same time, right?
Yep.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, Elysia Adams, hello. And then Chase, forward into the black, hello. Welcome to the show. Lord Goob, decent, slowly.
I smell profit.
Nice.
Obi.Sean_Kenobi super chatted 2 credits. DYADCon 2 when?
Next year.
Yeah, next year.
Florida.
Thank you for the ramen drop, $2 ramen drop, or whatever it will be. Dumpling drop.
What it'll always be to SH4T is a super chat. So thank you for the $2. DYADCon 2 next, either April or May, in Florida, is about as far as we've gotten thus far to nailing things down. So
Master James Kenobi, do you recall in the original Thrawn series, there was someone who was a member of that Smugglers Alliance with Talon Card? He was a scuzzy, like, douchebag. He was always smoking a cigar, and he was the one that was like a traitor. Did you remember what his name is? Let me know. I can't for the life of me remember what his name is.
are the alerts ringing out twice? It says, that freaking computer voice and the fact that it echoes. Interesting. Well,
it does not echo for me.
This isn't me fishing for donos, but if you guys can help us out with testing it again, see if this fixed it, because I did have one of the sources unmuted. But shout out to just sitting here on the TikTok side. What do y'all think has the most potential? Dawn of the Jedi, Starfighter, Jedi 3, Maul, Ahsoka, etc. The most potential. Actually, honestly, I mean,
Niles Ferrer. Oh, that was his name. God, I hate that guy. All right, I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write hate fic for him.
As far as a personal sensibility standpoint, I think Ahsoka season 2 has a lot of potential, but I'm also, very excited for the Dawn of the Jedi. We don't have any canon lore on the beginnings of the Force, or at least at the beginnings of how people interacted with it. So
now, personally, I'm going Starfighter. That's what I think. I am a big proponent of whenever you're able to come into it without any preconceived notions, a new character, a new spot in the timeline, new everything, then the story gets to shine for what it is and not for what people expect. I don't know. For personally, it's a pet peeve of mine when people judge a story based off of what they wanted to see versus what it is and how well it did what it was doing. I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, for sure. I also think it has a lot of potential to just not be as toxic because there's a white guy leading it.
That's true as well.
Lord Goop says Starfighter, in my opinion, it'll set the status quo for post-Tross Galaxy, which is, my reasoning for Dawn. I think Dawn as well is going to set the status quo for anything Old Republic or Proto-Republic that we see in that. Because, they're two extremes of the Star Wars chronology right now. After Tross is blank slate, and before, 25,000 years before,
it's a massively blank slate. Yeah.
Kenny says, so my wife got me into a show, Bridgerton. Oh no. Yes, I know I'm a few years late, but damn, this show hits. Straight off, I will be getting her to watch Andor afterwards. Right on.
Okay. I haven't watched it, but I know I have a lot of friends who really do love it a lot. I have not checked it out, and maybe we're checking it out. I've been behind on a lot of anime, so that's what I've been focused on.
I did start Windbreaker season 2.
I'm trying to catch up on One Piece, man. You know how long Dressrosa is? Jesus.
Okay, so if you're not at least watching one episode a week, you will never catch up, because it's it just keeps adding.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going way faster than that.
Okay.
But it's still a work in progress.
Alicia Adams says, I've never caught a live with you gents before. I didn't know you did them. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining and for hanging out. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to toss them out. Or not even questions, thoughts, feelings, statements, jokes.
Yeah,
limericks.
We're
haikus.
live every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific for this flagship show, DYAD in the Force. This is where we do all of our main discussions about what happens throughout the week. Of course, we'll be releasing videos throughout the week of smaller topics, but the big news of this week, of course, was Rian Johnson kind of reaffirming that he can always come back, and when he does come back to Star Wars, he'll be the happiest person in the world. And so this episode is about kind of speculating, soft speculation as to what that trilogy could be.
Yeah, and just having fun hanging out with you. Elysia Adams says, "Oh, you poor soul, Bridgerton is smut. It's soft corn on Netflix," and it's true. That's actually so. My wife tried to watch Bridgerton and was like, "I can't do it. it goes into it too hard for her." So,
I'm just sitting here. Said Ryan's trilogy still happening? Yes, he did an interview with The Independent talking about his show Poker Face, which I just started, and it is actually super interesting.
Trent Krim, The Independent. No, okay.
He did say that it was never truly shelved. He just got really into Knives Out and that franchise, and so his schedule has been with Knives Out, his newest Knives Out that's coming out, and then he's been working on Poker Face. So as soon as that kind of all resolves itself, he'll find himself back with the Star Wars universe, and that's good news. I mean, for the longest time we've thought that it's just not going to happen, but we all knew not we all, but some of us knew in the back of our minds that he was busy.
I mean, yeah, he's said as much several times.
I don't always get into her stuff she likes, but I really wanted her to watch Andor, so my trade-off is I get to know more of her likes and she can get into mine. That sounds like stuff you should have squared away before you got married.
No. That's just regular compromise stuff.
I'm busting his balls. Just like talking about your wife as if I get to know more of her likes. I'm just like, oh, you should know that. What is Mawaige? Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Marriage.
Oh, there it is. Marriage. Princess Buttercup. Wav. True Wav. Wolf of Loth Street says, "Yo boys, what's up? I've been on hiatus. Hope you fellas have been doing well." I've been doing well, yes.
Yeah, doing good. Nice to see you around. Yeah, I kind of miss the old lives where we were all just hanging out. Might try to bring some of them back, but I don't know, man.
Well, in terms of and if you've been here before, you're kind of aware of it. In terms of Yoda's huts, me specifically, I'm taking a break from that for just a little bit because our Tuesdays have been kind of filled with 3-hour-long reactions for a while. So I figured I'll take my Tuesday back for just a little bit until we go back to Yoda's Hut. Yoda's Hut, I was thinking of probably streaming a lot more games. Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out. There's a lot of games coming out. So, we'll be on there again to chill with you guys on Tuesdays. Jumping on, if you guys
Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. Fantastic game. Highly recommend people look into it. I was surprised at how much I have been loving this game.
I mean, it looks really, really good. So... Oh, so you're already playing it?
Oh, yeah.
Dang. Did you finish Expedition 33?
No.
I haven't yet either.
No, but there was a very specific itch that I needed scratched. And I was like, it was reawakened by Oblivion, but it still wasn't quite Oblivion because it still has some bad mechanics and stuff. And then I was like, I tried jumping back into Skyrim, and I was like, no, that's not it. And then I tried jumping back into Avowed.
Yeah.
Um,
I still haven't finished that either. I liked all these
and-
games. I just, Jesus.
but then this one scratches all of those itches. Plus, it like, it's basically, for anyone who doesn't know, it's like if an indie developer made Skyrim, but they mixed it with like Elden Ring. So there's all these like eldritch horror, dark fantasy stuff in it. Like I just spent time running around in a castle that was frozen in time, and I had to save some unborn babies. It was weird. It was very weird.
I wonder if Ryan's trilogy will be review bombed, or maybe it'll start TLJ being viewed like Revenge of the Sith is. At this point, with anything Rian Johnson related, it would be prudent to just ignore all of the discourse, the extremely toxic discourse that would come out of it, because there's a lot of people that just, by virtue of his name being Rian Johnson, kind of just hate anything. It started with The Last Jedi, and it started with the misinformation loop, and people don't realize that Rian Johnson is responsible for a lot of highly rated shows and movies, and all they know of him is what the chuds say online. Also, everybody on the TikTok side, help us get to 1,000 likes. Appreciate it. We're only at 48.
48. Damn.
Yeah. I see Wolf jumping on that. Appreciate you, Wolf. Let's see here. I kind of love everything Johnson makes. Been getting into Poker Face recently. Same.
I still haven't started watching Poker Face. Again, I've been on some other stuff, but yeah, I'll come back to it.
Mr. Man asks, are we getting Battlefront 3?
We should. I freaking love this campaign for Battlefront 3 that's been going on. Started getting tons and tons of comments asking for Battlefront 3. All of a sudden, all the servers for Battlefront 2 picked up. A lot of people started streaming it again. Some of the streamers I follow who normally stream, Destiny or Marvel Rivals and stuff like that, they were also streaming it. And like, it's a beautiful, positive thing that I forgot that what that feels like in the community. You know what I mean? Like, they're telling Lucasfilm what they want rather than hating on something else, and that's the way to do it. That's the only way they will actually listen to you.
I do know that they're not gonna do Battlefront 3 within this window of hype.
No, of course not.
They're going, if they're doing it, it has been in development for sure, but what they're going to do is they're going to let this campaign, this user-generated campaign play out, and then things going to go die down. And then one of these, whether it's the Game Awards or the next, trade show that happens, E3, is it June? I think. The next time there's a conference or a media briefing, they might announce it then when everybody's least expecting it, right? Because it's not a surprise, it's not hype. If you're like, we want Battlefront 3, it's like, well, here you go. You gotta wait until it dies down. People were like, oh yeah, I forgot. And then like, one more thing on stage, What trilogy would Rian Johnson even be working on? It can't be the sequel trilogy because J.J. Abrams started that one. Well, that and the sequel trilogy's done.
Yeah, that's...
But that's what we're here to talk about,
I mean, we're just having fun. We're just speculating, right? There's no official announcement or anything like that. But there's not a whole lot of Star Wars news, and we still want to hang out with you and, toss some ideas around.
Yeah, let's go on to Mixer, because that's what we're doing. Darth Angel says, 1,000 likes for another spicy noodle challenge. We'll do another spicy noodle challenge if you get us to 10,000 likes. And that's a mighty tall order, especially for people with the tired thumbs or fingers on the TikTok side. But
Hey, Luis.
I think Choco's down for that. 10,000 likes on the TikTok side. We'll do another spicy noodle challenge.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy spicy things, and I can stand to push my limits. I don't want to do a one chip challenge again.
That was just chemically induced.
Yeah. I can't even explain to you what it tasted like. It tasted like spicy penicillin or something. Like, it was weird. I don't know. I can't.
It tasted like, I can imagine it tasted like what like a gas giant planet smells like.
It tasted like you were licking pine sol off of a 1,000-degree stove. Something like that.
Oh snap! I think they're going to spend this entire time trying to get it to 10,000, which is fine. It's called incentive. Why did Choco wear a Captain America hat for a Star Wars stream? That could be considered treason because both Marvel and Star Wars are owned by Disney. Well, they're both owned by Disney. How does that treason?
Yeah. In fact, Captain America would be such a good Jedi. I would love to see that crossover.
Would he be a Jedi? Or would he be a gray Jedi? Never mind.
Shut up.
Throw that out into the ether.
No, but much like what's her name in the High Republic, who also carried a shield.
Yeah.
He could have a lightsaber and a shield, and would be able to use the Force in order to make it actually make sense with the things that it does.
What is her? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, phase 2 of the High Republic, there's a Jedi who also has a shield. It's really cool. She uses the Force to float it around and stuff, and
I can't believe I'm forgetting the name, because she was rocking with oh, now I'm forgetting all of their names. It's Rupert? Was her name Rupert Natani or something? Rupert Natani? Just type in Rupert. Salandra Show, Rupert Natani,
Yeah.
and there was another.
It was Salandra, yeah.
Dang. Lord Goob says Salandra. Yeah, thank you, Lord Goob. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been in phase 2. Dang. Okay. Well, I remembered Rupert Natani at least. It's treason because Choco's joined the Marvel side of the franchise wars. There's no franchise war happening. Just like there's no culture war. It's all in their head.
Yeah. Some of the wars that things that people believe are opposites are just super weird to me. You know what I mean? Like, people who are like, DC sucks. It's all about Marvel. Marvel sucks. DC is better. And I'm like, I just like both of them. I like some characters over here. I like some characters over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have to hate one to like the other. I think that's super weird.
Fandoms is the only space where you can say yes to binary choices.
Listen, I like Coke better than Pepsi, but
if you go to a restaurant
I can
that
still
only
drink
serves
Pepsi.
Pepsi,
Yeah.
I guess it's Pepsi. DC or Marvel? Yes. I can see both movies. I can go to the movies twice.
Now, that being said, I do prefer Marvel, but I don't know. I think it's weird. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Well,
I like Star Wars more, but I like Star Trek. I don't know.
in the vein of thank you guys for all of the roses and the heart me's, by the way, and sunglasses, caterpillar brows. Is that like a Rock Lee reference? Jabba le Forestier. Thank you for the heart me. In the vein of competition, if there was no DC, or if there wasn't anyone pining for a comic book movie like Monarchy, then Marvel wouldn't have any reason to try to innovate every year.
Yeah.
Star Citizen.
And that's...
Go ahead.
I was like, that's the benefit. Like, that is... When capitalism is good, it pushes innovation forward. That's what it's supposed to do.
Xcore Gamer still shout out to Xcore. If they only serve Pepsi, I'm asking for Mountain Dew.
That's fair.
That's
fair.
In all honesty, if they only serve Pepsi, I'm getting a water. But of course, if you do like, because I don't typically like Mountain Dew or the other stuff. I suppose the furthest I'd venture away from the Cokes is Sprite. But even then, I'm not too fond of that either.
Now, the one thing that does piss me off is when I'm like, I'll get a Dr. Pepper. And like, we don't have that, but we have root beer. I'm like, that's not the same.
Well,
what?
There's not the same thing, but I will take a root beer as well.
But that's not a...
What isn't Dr. Pepper is Pibb. I don't understand restaurants that be like, we have Mr. Pibb. I'm like, that's not what I asked for.
I mean, I can get down with some Mr. Pibb. By the way, I was reliving some of the past, and I remember playing the Mr. Pibb video game. Did anyone else play the Mr. Pibb video game?
I played the 7-Up video game.
Yeah, there was a Mr. Pibb video game that came on the floppy disk, and you're like in a school, you like burped at people, and it was weird.
Dang.
But it was hype at the time.
The 7-Up video game was pretty cool because it was like Spot, right? It was just running around. There was like flip mechanics and stuff. It made sense.
Okay.
Let's see here. If Chase says Star Citizen greater than Star Wars, greater than Star Trek. No.
You know what? I can see his argument, because in Star Citizen you just make your own story, and you can't get better than,
Well, here, let me contextualize this. If they made a Star Citizen game in the Star Wars universe, we'd be on that so hard and so quickly.
Yeah.
Over Star Citizen, like a complete clone. If you make Star Citizen what it is right now and just put it in the Star Wars universe, I'm playing that over Star Citizen.
In fact, I was thinking about trying to stream Star Wars Genesis. And if you don't know what Star Wars Genesis is, basically someone brought together all of the Star Wars mods for Starfield. And there's tons and tons and tons of mods, and you put it all together, and it's a different game.
Hey Element, hey Choco, nice to see you. What's going on, Dean? Not the Winchester. That's relevant. We're restarting Supernatural next week, so
not restarting it. We're continuing.
Yeah,
we're
restarting the engines on that. God damn, they're up to 5,800. We might have to do this. You guys are going hard on them likes. I'll have to give you a rundown of the SE lore. It's fairly nuts. I don't have any doubts about how much depth there is in Star Citizen lore, but I am a Star Wars fan first.
I would like to hear the lore. It might be interesting. I tried jumping into Destiny lore, and it's crazy. They were just throwing spaghetti, man. It's fun. Alicia Adams says, hyped for the new films. They won't be comedies like the OGs, more serious like the novel and the cartoon show, but I'm down for that. What do you think? What do you think in tone wise we have to look forward to?
With RIAN Johnson, it depends on the subject matter he wants to tackle, right? So this would have to fall in line with, or at least relate to, what we speculated to be first. So why don't we go into that right now? while still hanging out with everybody, because I know everybody has like a lot of different things that they want to talk about. But I did before I go and answer that, I did that question or statement by Alicia did make me think of something that I wanted to ask you, Chocobo. Going back to when we rewatched Revenge of the Sith in the theaters, and you said that, you know, you had realized that it's a lot worse than you remember it to be.
Mm-hmm.
How much of the novelization was doing the heavy lifting in terms of your nostalgia? Because I know you rate that book really high.
Oh, that book is really, really good. I mean, listen, if reading books is better than watching movies, I'm sorry, I said it. There's people who will disagree, but the book is whatever your imagination is.
Uh-oh.
Imagination is.
Are you back?
Yeah, where did you lose me?
The book is where the imagination is.
Yeah. But basically, there's no poor delivery of lines that takes you out of it, because you imagine how it's delivered, right? There's no bad CG because it's in your mind. You know what I mean? And so all of the things that take me out of it, you know, I don't have to imagine Obi-Wan and Anakin switching lightsabers during their fight, or Palpatine holding his. The scene where Palpatine kills the Jedi that are coming to arrest him is dope in the book. It is really cool. Versus the movies where they just stand there and get stabbed, and you're like, okay, that was weird. But yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that when it comes to movie tie-in books, it really does help contextualize things.
I mean, in a movie, you can't get someone's true inner dialogue. I mean, they can act it out. They can make their facial expressions or their tone show that they're conflicted or that they're thinking. But you can get into some specifics, right? You can get into some nitty gritty in the books, and that's what I love.
And I mean, a really good equivalent to this is The Rise of Skywalker. That novelization, if that novelization was the movie, it would be up there with The Last Jedi, in my opinion. But the movie itself, as we have it, not nearly as good. You don't have the Eye of Webbish Bog beginning. You don't have the context around Palpatine's cloning, and how it resulted in Dathan. All of that stuff. I feel like that would have only added like 12 more minutes to the movie, and it would have made people walking away from that movie just feel a little bit better about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because like the first 6 minutes is just, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of starting any movie in some sort of montage.
I mean, that first beginning of it, like, it covers a lot of time, like a surprising amount of time, even after a year jump. I don't know. I think they just try to do too much stuff with it. Also, I feel really sad about missing out on the Chewbacca moment.
Yeah.
You know, you have Chewbacca remembering, you know, that he helped raise this kid. He helped raise Ben, and that's who he gets kidnapped and interrogated by. You know, by the way, that's how they found out that they were going to Kijimi, is they interrogated Chewie. And so while Kylo Ren was in Ben's mind, while Kylo Ren was in Chewie's mind, I was like, wait a second, someone's not. But yeah, he's in his mind, and he's seeing memories of himself as a child, and Chewie teaching him how to ride a speeder, teaching him how to shoot a blaster, teaching him all this stuff. And that contributes to the softening of his heart. Like, I think that's really cool. I wish that was in there. It makes me sad that it wasn't.
And for the people who harp on this Rey Palpatine, Rey Skywalker thing, In the book, Leia like just explicitly says, "I'm gonna hand over my legacy, my Skywalker legacy, to Rey, my Organa legacy to Poe, and my was it and Solo legacy to Finn, or was it?"
The Solo legacy was to Ben. Yeah.
Oh, Solo is to Ben, Organa to Poe, and Skywalker to Rey.
To Leia. To Rey. Yeah.
And then at the end, Luke does say, as Master James Kenobi points out, he does say, "It's yours, Rey."
Yeah.
So I mean, in the movie, like they show Leia and Luke just standing there with smiles of approval. But you can't expect idiots to look at the smiles of approval and be like, "That means a smile of approval." So
I mean, they're just idiots overall, so it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, SH4T, did his namesake to the bed and didn't shout out Alicia Adams' $5 ramen drop, so we super appreciate it. She says Star Wars theory and that Star Wars girl should just be Sith Lord villains in Johnson's trilogy.
Yeah,
and
that helped me isolate the issue. So it should have the alert again if it happens again. But thank you for the £5 ramen drop.
But that would actually be funny if you made some villains that are loosely based off of it. But they don't actually care. But I don't know. On the set of The Last Jedi, they would call it being zeroed, right? Because Mike Zero was a lot more prevalent back in the day, and that was just meant garbage. Like they don't care what these people think.
This all sounds sweet. Which book is this you guys are talking about? I must read it. So it's the Rise of Skywalker novelization by Carly Rae something?
Stevenson? No. Carly Rae.
By just Ray Carson. Where did I get Carly?
Okay.
Oh, is there? I think
Carly Rae Jepsen? That's what I was thinking of. That's what I was thinking of, and I was like so confused.
Ray Carson. Here, I'll type it in the.
We also find out that we get in that novelization, we get a lot more details on Lando and his daughter, and it's sweet. Like they're playing around with ice cream, and she has her ice cream, and she runs and hides in his cape closet and gets ice cream on his capes, and but they're just cute together.
Speaking of that Star Wars girl, she was getting a lot of flack for her Andor review, which is fine. I don't really care if you disliked Andor. That's not really our modus here. But it was funny as I was watching the clips that people were sending me of it. There was one part where she specifically said, "The people who enjoy Andor don't understand Star Wars lore," and in that same breath, she calls Radis Admiral Akbar. And so I want to express to you guys that it is super important when you claim other fans to not know anything about Star Wars lore, to know about Star Wars lore yourself. And that's why we have so much fun dunking on the people that often misread the lore or get it wrong outright.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's cool.
Yeah.
But can we normalize just not liking things? You could just not like it. It doesn't have to. You don't have to make reasons why you are objectively correct for not liking it. And that's what happens. No, it's not that I don't like it. It's that it's terrible because it doesn't. This it breaks Star Wars canon, and you're like, do you actually read Star Wars canon? Are you interested in Star Wars canon? The answer is no. They don't actually care.
Or just
it doesn't.
Just the dumbass reason of, if you like this, you're not a true fan, right? Because they have to center it on them not liking it means that they are the better fan. You know, I mean, Star Wars Theory said the same thing in his review. Andor, people who enjoy Andor don't understand the lore.
Mm-hmm. I'm a spooky kid who says, I still have faith that Theory can be saved. He's making an effort to be less hateful, to make less hateful content. That's something. No, he can't. I
is
tried,
he making
actually.
an effort, or is he being bullied into it?
Yeah. I'm sure he's just being bullied into it because Andor was good. But no, I tried for a while. I mean, I was legitimately friends with him for a while. If you don't agree with him 100%, then he hates you and you're wrong or whatever. You know what I mean? The reason he stopped being friends with me is because I fact checked him on something. He got something wrong, and I let him know, and he couldn't handle it. And it wasn't even rude. I wasn't even mean about it.
And the reason this comes from one of our close friends that knows him. The reason he's never spoken to me is because I've always corrected him. You know, he actually did see my open letter to him all those years ago. And he hates me. And that's something that I happily live with. Jesus Christ, we got 10K on TikTok. Who got us to 10K?
So yeah, this is my cat. This is Thane. Thane Kyrell Krios.
Let your voices be heard. Who got us to 10K? So that we can dedicate a spicy challenge, whether it's noodles or something, just a spicy challenge.
Or sexy, yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of spicy.
I'm pretty sure Darth Angel was behind some of it. I mean, I think y'all just kind of like tag teamed it, I suppose, or triple thread it. Man, oh man, oh man. Well, thank you guys for the 10K, for the 11K now. We'll definitely deliver on that challenge because we have something else to celebrate. Is that this channel has officially passed 15,000 subscribers, which is a milestone because it's really hard to grow on YouTube. So thanks to everybody who's subscribed recently and who has been subscribers and who has been supporting us throughout all of these years. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. I'm a spooky kid says, you guys taught me that I don't know crap about Star Wars lore, and that's okay. Listen, you know way more than the average person. You know what I mean? Like these things are tiered, right? And you don't have to be like us, right? You don't have to have a lore Bible. You don't have to have Google alerts for interviews and stuff like that. I just know how much misinformation gets out there, so I try to stay ahead of everything, and it's just easier for me that way. But like, if you are in this community, I guarantee you that you are winning 9 out of 10 trivia contests, right?
Oh yeah.
When we talk to each other, when we write trivia questions for each other, and then when we go to a bar and get Star Wars trivia, oh my God, it's night and day. I forget.
I got the silliest trivia question wrong at Scum and Villainy. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, but it was too easy of a question. You know what I mean? It's one of those questions that you're like, you end up overthinking it.
What did I end up answering? The question was who was Qui-Gon Jinn's master, right? Or Count Dooku's master?
I thought the question was who was in charge of the Death Star.
Well, I suppose they asked us both different questions.
No, I thought that's what they asked you, and you said Krennic, and the answer was Tarkin. No?
Either way,
I don't know.
Either way, it was. I think it was like a weird technicality.
Yeah. It's one of those questions where like it's so simple that you mess up because you're like way overthinking it. Like they couldn't be asking me a question this easy. It has to be a trick.
I'm just sitting
It's
here.
a trap. Send a reply.
I'm just sitting here. Says, I bet it was me. My hands are legit cramping. Well, I appreciate you just sitting here. I mean, hey, if you're just sitting there, you might as well give us likes. We appreciate you.
Every time I hear your
13,000.
name, I start hearing Brandy in my head. And it's just a blast from the past. Sitting there in my room, think about me and you. I must confess. Sorry, I'm not hitting those notes.
Bro, Theory was coming to a local convention and half the comments were mad about it. I do wish he would have better opinion on Star Wars based in facts, but I also don't want him to be bullied in a toxic sense about it. We don't want him to be
I agree.
bullied either.
I don't want him to be bullied.
You know, all of our videos that kind of dunk on Theory's bad takes is all on his bad takes.
Yeah.
You know?
Listen, all I want, and not to make this show about him, I think we'll leave it kind of with this. I just want him to stop spreading lies and misinformation, because those beget hate, right? If you know, you can say all you want, like I didn't tell people to go attack anyone. I didn't tell them to do this. I didn't do this and that. At the same time, if you yell fire in a crowded theater and a stampede breaks out, right? You have some culpability. You know, I just want to be able to think about that and understand that when you have a large platform, it impacts people, right? There's influence there, and if you don't fact check, you can spread false narratives, and those false narratives can create hate and outburst and, frankly, racism and bigotry.
I also want him to stop peddling himself as an authority on Star Wars. Your subscriber count, your views, clicks, whatever, doesn't make you an authority. You know, when he was talking about the Andor and all of that's the controversy surrounding it. He said, you know, not everyone talks to the people that I talk to. Not everybody knows the people that I know. I'm an expert in all of these 6 movies, and it's stupid. It's stupid.
Not to mention, we got behind the scenes contacts as well.
Yes,
Plenty of them, pretty high up. It's actually funny how many people who work at Lucasfilm love Star Wars and they love Lucasfilm, and so they are willing to talk to and reach out to people that also love it. You know,
we have things that were canonized because of us, and I don't say that to you know, toot our horns, but
I smell profit.
Elijah Adams super chatted 6.78 credits. I want to thank you both so much for being such a positive force in the fandom. I've had horror dicks with other channels, but you gents are so lovely.
Oh,
well,
thank you
you
so much, Alicia.
No, we really appreciate that, Alicia.
Did that sound also
It's-
echo?
yeah.
I need to know if that fixed it. And thank you for the £5 Tauntaun offering.
Tauntaun steaks. Tip yip.
The 5 tip yips. Yo, yeah, it works. It works. We'll see if that sticks. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. We've had things canonized because we spoke to people working on Lucasfilm. You know, Talboda in the High Republic is something that I had a personal involvement in. And as I was saying, it's not to toot our own horn. Is the fact that, you know,
That's gonna be an
Master James
OnlyFans charge,
Kenobi has
sir.
become a member of the DYAD Squadron.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Thank you, James Kenobi, for being a member for
James
11
Kenobi.
months. That's a 1 month away from being a year.
James.
Kenobi.
How are you? Isn't it a lovely day? I swear no one saw the movie James and the Giant Peach, but that song plays in my head a lot.
I saw him react to Cinema Therapy's app on Anakin, and he's like, you just don't understand Star Wars. I mean, that's the curtain he hides behind all of the time. You know, when people have a different take, and in some cases takes that are counter to what he believes in strongly, it's a misunderstanding of Star Wars. And that's just not the case. Was that the cinema therapy video talking about the prequels are worse than he remembers it? Remind me, Dean.
Sorry, this says James and Giant Peach traumatized me after the first like 20 minutes. I couldn't watch the rest. That's true. That's yeah.
There was another channel recently, I wouldn't say who publicly shamed me on a live stream because I said Andor wasn't perfect and has plot holes, unfinished plots. I literally cried for ages. Well, you're safe here.
We're sorry that happened to him. That's not cool.
You've got a family and a community in the DYAD in the Force community, and we'll never publicly shame anyone for saying anything. I mean, we'll engage with discourse. That's what our community is all about, but no one's ever at the mercy of you know, any type of bullying. So like Choco said, we're sorry that happened to you. Spooky Kid says, I think it was a Nostalgia Critic. Oh, that was the Nostalgia Critic video. Yeah. And actually, I think I saw that one too, and he was making some really valid points. So it's not a lack of understanding of Star Wars, right? Because at the end of the day, these movies need to pass muster in terms of narrative checks, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be required to understand Star Wars to understand basic action, reaction, and consequence in terms of narrative sequence. Chet just likes
That's
to...
gonna be an OnlyFans
93
charge,
has
sir.
become a member of the DYAD Squadron.
Hey!
Yeah, Choco karaoke night.
Thank you to Super Ruiz 93 for being a member for 7 months. Voice is silky smooth.
Well, I appreciate that. It's because I drink Colt 45 malt liquor.
Do your best, Morgan Freeman.
Lower cookie, yeah. Sorry.
What movie was that?
But yeah, we will actually do karaoke nights whenever we get a chance, and so yeah.
Karaoke nights is a staple of ours. We did it in with DYADCon last year, and there's definitely going to be a karaoke night in DYADCon too. But we also prioritize karaoke nights whenever we get together for like a con, you know, or a celebration. Whenever we all find ourselves there.
I'm bummed out that we still haven't had a full karaoke night with Mesa Windu. Because Josh, listen, I heard him sing Shallows.
I smell profit.
I heard him sing Shallows.
Master James
once.
Kenobi super chatted
I
3.25
cried.
credits. Musical note emoji. James. Musical note emoji. Embraces in a mall voice. Kenobi.
I see him in my mind's eye.
What the hell?
Kenobi.
Are you like low-key doing like a Nigerian mall?
That's how he speaks first.
It sounded like you were doing a Nigerian accent. In my mind's eye. You know? I also love how it's just like musical note, James, musical note. I had to unsub from that channel after years of being with them, all because I don't think Andor is 10 out of 10, more a 7 out of 10. It's still great, just not perfect. You know, it was so mean. I think this is a larger problem that exists with fandom in general today, is that a lot of people, number one, bundle their thoughts in one collective entity. So if I'm sitting here in my channel on TikTok making videos about The Last Jedi and explaining things that happened in The Force Awakens, right? I'm a sequel defender. But two-thirds of the sequels is really lowly rated on my ranking, with the exception of The Last Jedi. And we see this more and more today, people bundling the trilogies together as if they all come as a package when you're ranking them, which is not true, because they all have their individual merits. So when it comes to like talking about the sequels, it's like, well, okay, which movie, right? You have to be able to approach this critically and engage with it honestly, because you can't just say the sequels and have a critical blanket criticism of the sequels, right? And then to your point specifically, everybody needs a 10 out of 10 or it's a 1.
Yeah, it's strange. Now, I mean, I do really love Andor, but we don't have to be on the same page. What sucks though is like you still like it. That's weird. I was gonna say though, I know we've kind of strayed from what we were talking about. I want Rian Johnson's trilogy, considering what he's been doing, what has gotten him. I want him to make a trilogy about Emmerich Kafter.
That's a good one.
Emmerich Kafter, he is a Jedi detective, right? So there's mysteries. He goes and he solves crimes as a Jedi, and like, considering that he's been on this mystery kick, and he's just fallen deeply in love with that genre. Yeah, give me some of that in Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be really cool. I had a more, I suppose, generic take on what his trilogy would be. But really quickly, just sitting here asks, the likes get to 20K, what happens then? Should we do a giveaway?
Yeah, why not?
What do you got to give away? I'm not giving away the Darksaber of over 20K likes. Though I am thinking of giving it away.
I mean, I'd have to go look around. I don't know. I've given away lots of stuff.
This one's obviously out of juice.
My wife works with cancer patients, and so she's always like, she always has people come in and like their kids love Star Wars or they love Star Wars, and so she's been slowly depleting me.
I forgot how to turn it off.
I don't remember where my blade is.
It's somewhere.
That Darksaber is so freaking heavy. It's crazy.
It's just as heavy as the Satil Shan's hilts.
Yeah.
How's that Mandalorian video idea running around your head, Jedi Lore Master? I'm still giving it a thought.
What Mandalorian video?
Dean Not the Winchester asked if we. Well, I suppose we can do one. A video exploring the lore of the Mandalorians, specifically with Tar Vizsla. I did say that Tar Vizsla doesn't have much canon lore associated with him, but we can do stuff. We can talk about the Creed and Mandalorian rituals and stuff, and what is it called, the tribes or the coverts. We could talk about that stuff too. So we'll work on it for sure.
You're old enough to have a wife? I thought you were close to my age. Yep. No, we're old dudes. Both of us. We just, black don't crack and Asian don't raisin. You know what I mean?
Stephanie in the chat, not me asking Pep if he wants to play Apex just to see this live on the channel. Currently doing the show stuff, but if it were any other day, I would love to play Apex. Thank you for tuning in on the Twitch side. What is this DYAD Con? So Alicia Adams' DYAD Con is something that we put on last year, the first of its kind, first of its name, where we kind of we put this on to have a place where the community can all come together and hang out and commiserate with each other, because most of the time that we would meet people in passing, it would be at a convention, but they'd have to go off to a panel, they'd have to go eat lunch or something, and then everybody kind of is scattered all throughout the day. And then we'd have like an after party or karaoke night, and then everybody goes back to their respective abodes. But DYADCon was something where we can all just be there as friends and hang out. So we all stayed in the same hotel. There were some people that, were off-site for other reasons, but essentially the idea was that we're all in the same place. We all do things together, and then at the end of the day, we all retire back to the same place. So we had like multiple nights of hanging out in each other's rooms, playing games and just talking. We did Star Wars night, we did Galaxy's Edge, and we had a massive birthday party for one of our community members, and that was during a karaoke night as well. So we just had a ton of fun hanging out with each other without this huge con looming over our heads.
I was surprised how well the opening ceremonies went. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, shout out to Keegan and Naf for putting that together.
Oh man, Keegan has some of the best energy for like leading something I've ever seen. He was fantastic.
Obi-Sean Kenobi says, have a great rest of the show, y'all. Going out to a comedy show. Enjoy the comedy show, Obi-Sean.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in.
If you're still around, are you seeing anyone that we might know?
D. Not the Winchester says, damn, I wish I had money to go to DYADCon. It's not that much money, actually. If we think about the overall, like
so we put together like hotel blocks so you could get a cheaper rate and all this stuff. And then, yes, we did Disneyland, but like not everyone, if you didn't want to go to Disneyland, you didn't have to. And there's a lot of stuff that we can do surrounding it. Honestly, I mean, depending on how things go in the country, I think there's a play to try and do it at next year's Rebel ScumCon.
But then that would defeat the purpose of the con without the con.
Not fully though, because it's such a small. It's a lot smaller of a convention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at a Star Wars Celebration or at in New York or San Diego Comic-Con, they're just massive. You know what I mean? So it's really difficult. But like around a smaller con, I think it might be cool.
Shout out to Young in the TikTok side. Literally one of the best times. Me, Cheyenne, Mari, and I talk about it a lot. We have one of our members of the community right now speaking to the DYADCon itself. And that kind of brings up a memory that we had where we went tide pooling, and that was a completely free activity. So that is the benefits of the purpose of a DYADCon, where everyone just kind of gets together and just hangs out. There's a lot to do when you're just hanging out together in each other's rooms, or going to the beach or something like that. It's all just finding ways to be together, and it doesn't have to be this expensive overhead that you have to worry about. Let's see. I've seen so many people in the chat asking about DYADCon 2, so it was clearly a big hit. I wish I wasn't in the UK because I would totes come. Well, you're more than welcome to come. Everyone's invited in the community.
We have people from Australia, New Zealand, and stuff. You know, you can come out from the UK. We have people from the UK. Yeah. We
had how many countries? We had close to, I think, 50
5
people.
or 6.
from across 5 or 6 countries. It was really rad. I almost cried at the opening ceremony to see how many people actually, gave us a chance. I might cry. No, I don't want to cry.
All right, so you guys in the chat, you've been selling me on this idea. Yeah, if Rian Johnson did his mystery around Dr. Aphra, that could be really cool. And she's an archaeologist. She's always discovering old stuff. She can discover clues that will lead us back to Satil Shan, and bring some cool stuff in the canon. That might be a cool thing to do. I would not be opposed to that. Not at all.
Wouldn't be opposed to it either. Young in chat in the TikTok says we never did tortilla slapping, which sounds.
Yeah, we need to do tortilla slapping.
But it also sounds like all you do is just go around slapping tortillas.
Tortilla slapping and cheese throwing are pretty fun.
Cheese throwing.
You've never taken like a craft singles and just threw a full force at someone's face? It's
I've never,
it's
but I know what you mean now.
Yeah.
Also,
my wife is Mexican, so I have been slapped with a tortilla before. It happens.
On all body parts.
I've also been hit with a sandal as well. Damn
Chunkless?
chunkless.
I've been hit by a rattan stick. And it wasn't during Kali Kali training either. It was purely parental discipline.
I swear she can curve a chancla around a corner. It's crazy. It's like the movie Wanted. Yeah. She's just like
does like a 180 and goes. Okay, so
one time she threw it. I went to the bathroom and I opened the door and it just hovered outside waiting for me.
I thought you said wonton. She threw it. Like she threw a wonton.
A Vegemite eating contest? That's no. What?
So my soft speculation for a Rian Johnson trilogy. It's generic, but I think we should do it. I think it should be a Shadows of the Sith continuity trilogy where it ends right as we get into the book.
Okay.
There's a lot of years there to do.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a lot of years.
And that would also give him a chance to continue with the tone of The Last Jedi. Challenging Luke Skywalker. Putting him in situations that doesn't make him look like the best person in the world all the time.
My question to you is, does Mark still have it in him? Like, not to say he doesn't. Like because my thought is, there was a mystery going on, and that would have ended up leading, him to Exegol, and that would be the story that I would want to tell.
Yes.
But that would even be a younger Luke, and I'm curious if if we're talking trilogy, we're talking. I mean, we'd be at least 10 years out for the last movie,
Yeah, no, it would be time spanning for sure. There would be time jumps. Essentially, the premise of this trilogy would be getting Luke to fill in the texts and his notes that Rey is looking back on. When she says in The Rise of Skywalker, I know what the Wayfinder is. Luke was searching for it, and like his notes are in the books and the journals and stuff. And so all the things that he had written about it, his studies about the Chain Worlds theorem, his encounters with the World Between Worlds, because there are notes in there about the World Between Worlds that we didn't get to talk to Luke about. So there's a lot of things that Luke experienced way before he even thinks about exile and way before Shadows of the Sith. And I think, ending the movie with him being saved by Anakin would score some major points with some people that love Anakin.
Yeah, no, that's true. Another thing I would really love him to explore is Mandalorian space. You know what I mean? And if we're still keeping it in the context of a murder mystery, I think it could be really cool if there is a random murder that's at a place it shouldn't be, with a person that shouldn't be there, in a way that doesn't make any sense, and they have to figure out what happened. And while they're doing so, they end up uncovering like a plot that was meant to overthrow like Mandalore and Mandalorian culture, and so we can get to some of the stuff that led them into where we saw them in the Clone Wars.
Ooh, a murder mystery in Mandalorian space, exploring what the hell happened to Satine and why no one mentions her. Right? The same could be written about why no one mentions Padme.
I mean, we know.
To be honest, what I want most is a new Jedi Sith War movie. That for sure would have to come after Dawn of the Jedi, right? You need to set the stage for the beginnings of the Jedi, and the beginnings of the Jedi correlates to the beginnings of the Sith, right? Because all the beginning of the Sith came from Jedi. So
yeah, I mean, although we'll have to wait and see how things actually unfold in canon, because George Lucas was very clear. He says that there was no Jedi Sith war, that the Sith ruled the galaxy, and then because of their greed and selfishness, they whittled themselves down. And so I'm curious, they might go that route. I don't know. But like, just because George said it doesn't mean that we have to do it, but
well, George says that, but in Secrets of the Jedi they talk about the war.
Yeah. That's true.
The Great Hyperspace War. It doesn't say the Jedi Sith War, but I would imagine the Great Hyperspace War being something to that degree. We'll see what they have to do.
Alicia Adams says, "Ooh, I have a question. You just wrote that really interesting audio production thingy, yeah? So we know you're right. What would your Star Wars trilogy be?"
Wow, Alicia, your first time catching a live with us, and you're coming with all of the greatest hits. That's interesting. Well, let us think about it really quickly as we read everybody else's take on the Rian Johnson trilogy. Let's see. Dean, not the Winchester, says, "Where is Duchess Satine's son?" That's also a mystery that needs solving.
You know who else we don't ever talk about? Padme had more family.
Yeah, that's true.
There are more in the berries. How come we don't talk about them? You know what I mean? Like, Luke and Leia have living relatives in the galaxy, most likely living.
Yes, we mean Corky Kenobi. Well, I do. I don't know if Choco subscribes to that.
I don't.
But
that's okay.
Luciana says, an Indiana Jones styled story similar to the Zepho missions in Jedi Fallen Order. That'd be kind of cool too. Like, it doesn't have to be Jedi and Sith either. We can get like a really cool Star Wars story about like other beings within the Force. Zepho, Yakom, the Convocation, Dagoyan Masters, something, just kind of horizontally scale the world building of Star Wars. Because they're not the only ones.
Or, listen, we dip into Legends and we pull out the Hapes Consortium. Now I feel like the Chuds would hate it because they are a matriarchy, but I don't care. I think we can have fun. You know, we can bring Prince, Azorda into it, and
Lord Goop says 100% recency bias. Dark Droids trilogy. Have it question the need for Rey's Jedi Order, referring back to the decades of conflict despite the Jedi being present, that the droids have witnessed. Ooh. Is it like from the perspective of various droids that have witnessed all of this stuff? Also, when is part 2 of that production coming, Hype Train? We're still in the process of writing it. So, in the process of writing part 2, a part 3 and 4 was needed. So, it's kind of like Andor in a sense. The next drop for the Stranger story is 2, 3, and 4. Which would be part 2, but chapters 2, 3, and 4. Might see more of Padme's family in Legacy of Vader. We might, yeah. Well, you can't rush art. We'll wait patiently. Absolutely. We'll have days where we just kind of blitz through a lot of the story. But sometimes you got to give the brain some resting time. Also, we have to read Wayseeker and see how it affects the canonicity. I know that like AU and fan fiction, it doesn't really matter what is canon, but at least for me, I don't know about Choco, at least for me, whenever I write something within the Star Wars universe, I try to be canon adjacent in terms of adhering to what came before in terms of continuity, so that I can match up all of my made up stuff as close as possible to the lore that's been established.
Which can be problematic because sometimes you start writing and then another project comes out and kind of jumps all over you, which George Lucas was known to do. But yeah,
I mean, I was writing a post Rise of Skywalker story, and then Ahsoka came out and changed all of that. A lot of it, I had seemingly kind of predicted, with the Mandalorians and the power vacuum that Cobb Vanth had described, but everything that I wrote about how Ahsoka survived and how they found Ezra and stuff, that all was retconned, and I was like, I don't know if I want to redo all of that story that I had written. So that's how it happened with that project.
Okay, so here's my thoughts for a trilogy. Whenever I get asked these questions, I like to come up with new ones. I know sometimes I repeat the same things over and over again, but I like to try to mix it up at least. This might be a too much of an all in the family type thing, but yeah, let's go back to the Naberries. We have Sola Naberi, and she has a kid. All right,
that's force sensitive.
I want her kid to be force sensitive, but and they are kind of the anti-Anakin, right? Where they aren't super powerful, they're strong, but they are genuinely a good person, and they're smart and all this stuff. But they have to grow up in this galaxy where you can't be a Jedi. This person has everything that they need because the family has resources and connections and all this stuff, and he can study and things on his own, might even get private tutorships from different places. Thank you. I didn't see what that is. Oh, Star Wars Collector just subscribed. Welcome. Appreciate you.
Came from TikTok. Much love to you both. Keep up the great work. Appreciate you, Collector. Thanks for joining us.
But imagine this kid who only wants to help people, and it's kind of in this privileged situation, but they're in a galaxy where they can't use their abilities to help people, right? So we'll have them not actually, being a Jedi, but they're force sensitive, but maybe they do try to go the route of politics, and they have to navigate that world while trying to be in control of their powers, while having to, maybe they think, if I do something dark, I might be able to affect this change. And then seeing the ramifications of that, seeing how you can spiral out of control by dipping into the dark side. And you can also, that way you can actually explore force sensitivity outside of the Jedi Order. And what would happen if a force sensitive person tried to be involved in politics. I think we could have a very interesting trilogy of stories there.
Do you believe the theory that Ezra's armor on Peridea is made from the dog tags of troopers he killed? I think he's cheeky enough to do that.
He's cheeky enough to do it, but no, he's all about repurposing armor. You know what I mean? Like, he would just take their armor, patch it up, maybe. Maybe he would try to paint it, in honor of what Sabine would normally do. But I don't see him, like, smelting it and building, I don't know.
What are the realistic prospects of this trilogy actually being green-lighted by Lucasfilm? It's already been greenlit. It was announced. There was a press release and everything. It's just RIAN Johnson has had scheduling conflicts with its development. Knives Out came out. It was an absolute hit. So he's been doing Knives Out movies. Now, of course, we're not going to sit here and kind of add authority to the mix and be like, oh no, he's for sure going to come back and do it within the next few years. All he said in the interview is that he's always going to.
They have an open door for him.
Yeah.
Connor says, hey guys, glad DYAD is today, feeling a little lonely tonight. Well, you are amongst friends. Connor is also, across the pond, as it were. Alicia, where are you over there, if you don't mind us asking? Me asking.
I have a feeling she's in Woolwich. No, I'm just kidding. That's the only place I know because that's where I stayed in London. Okay, so our own... what character did Choco say he'd want to make a trilogy of?
Oh, this would be creating a new character. But in the deleted scenes for Revenge of the Sith, we got to meet... Well, I'm sorry. Deleted scenes for Attack of the Clones. We got to meet Padme's sister, Sola. And, like, she went the other route. She was having kids and all this stuff. And so I was just trying to imagine if... she had a kid who was force sensitive. He'd be pretty young when Order 66 happened. He would be kind of sheltered. Sola would know of Anakin and would probably hate him and be like, we are not doing that. We are avoiding that at all costs. So yeah, that's what I think we should see. But a Jedi that's trying to follow Padme's footsteps. That would be cool.
Do we have
That's going to be an OnlyFans
become a
charge,
member
sir.
of the DYAD squadron.
Hey, Lord Goob. Thanks for being a member.
Why are you
for
just
7
here?
months.
Why are you always in my face?
Do we have any info on the helmet Rey wore on Jakku when eating her portions? We do know that it was worn by a pilot named Ray, R-A-E. That's it. They took place in the Battle of Jakku, but there's nothing else.
I thought it was Ray.
You know of Newcastle too? I don't know of Newcastle. When we were in Star Wars Celebration London, I stayed in Woolwich and we just kind of tubed into London every day. I'm in Kent, and TikTok's misbehaving again. Dong, 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 dong. I'm in Kent. Interestingly, I used to live in Greenwich.
Why are you
which
attacking
is
me?
Where Woolwich is. Oh, okay. Wouldn't Padme's family be political prisoners under the Empire?
Not necessarily. So on Naboo, the person who ended up becoming the Moff for the sector was Captain Panaka. And Panaka was actually considered like a really good Moff, like someone that the rebellion even wanted to reach out to see if he would work with them. Of course, bad things ended up happening, but no, they wouldn't absolutely not be political prisoners under Moff Panaka. And when the bad things happen, this would be in the story, you know, the family would probably flee.
Hello there, love both of y'all videos. Thank you again for the book recommendations. Shout out to Wave the Lock on the TikTok side, aka Yin TikTok. Appreciate you for stopping by. Thanks to my buddy, I've acquired the Vault edition of the Sith book and the Jedi book. Ooh. Now, just so that you're aware, both of those books are Legends continuity.
Which books? I didn't hear.
The Vault edition of the Sith book and the Jedi book.
Oh yeah.
Are you talking about Secrets of the Sith, or are you talking about the Sith?
The Jedi Path and
the Sith Code, where the Sith.
Yeah.
Is it the Sith Code? I call it the Sith Chains. Would you guys prefer a certain point of view books from sequels or prequels? Yes.
I mean, I want from a certain point of view for the prequels, because I think we touch on a lot of more interesting characters. But I want a whole book that just follows Kylo Ren throughout the sequel trilogy. I think that'd be amazing.
If I'm being cheeky and greedy about it, I want an entire animated show based on the sequels. I want the Clone Wars for the sequels. I want the Rebels for the originals. I want a show that provides a lot more context within the world of that sequel era, and not necessarily following Rey or Ben, but rather
but like once the Resistance base has to kind of keep moving.
Yeah.
And they are reaching out to people all over the place, you know. In the same time, the First Order is trying to gain control over certain areas. They're trying to the First Order is much smaller than the Empire was. They're a fraction of the size, so they are trying to get in control of key people or arrest key people and use fear tactics in order to rule like a much larger population. And so there are stories to be had there that would be just like you would see on Rebels, you know?
Yeah, Connor says, I wish Resistance was a little bit better. And I think Resistance was kind of shaping up to be that show for them. The second season was really, really good. And they ended with, I believe they ended with the Hosnian Cataclysm, and that's when they got canceled.
No, they went past that, but they caught up to where the movies were.
But in all honesty, I mean, I would have been down for Resistance to continue, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see. Honestly, we need shows like the Clone Wars for the originals and the sequels. I chalk up Rebels to be a show for the originals. Not quite as spanning as the Clone Wars, but then again, the prequels spanned a whole chunk of time.
But there are still post Return of the Jedi stories that we really should tell. Yeah. So yeah, we really should bridge that gap. I think that would be amazing.
Do you think they might renew a new season of Resistance?
No.
You know what? I think that they should do a show that starts before the Rise of Skywalker and goes all the way to before New Jedi Order. That would be an amazing opportunity for world building post TROS and how they deal with the fallout and the aftermath of the defeat of the Final Order, and where the galaxy is, and how it moves to the point where New Jedi Order happens, and we get to the question: does the galaxy need the Jedi? Like, what does the government, or what does the governing body look like? Do they try to rebuild the new Republic, like in the same vein?
I'm so dumb. The obvious movie choice or animated show choice is right there in front of my face. Poe Dameron. a Poe Dameron show, right?
Yeah.
There's space after Free Fall, but before the sequels that we don't know anything about him. We see him a bit in Resistance, where he is a spy. He's their best pilot, and he's a spy. There's a ton of things that you could do of him being a spy, going across the galaxy and just doing cool pilot stuff.
Hmm? What are the chances Poe is in Starfighter? If Oscar Isaac, of course, is down a clown, that is.
What did the Poe Dameron comic cover? I mean, that type of thing. He did missions. He found a big giant, like a bird egg, and there's a bunch of weird stuff. But yeah. Are we getting a new book with Poe? No, we're getting a new book with Finn, but not one with Poe.
Is Star Wars Resistance a good show? Recommend. I haven't seen it yet. So Resistance does take time to kind of ramp up. I always say that by episode 6 of season 1 and then onward, it gets really, really good. So if you can make it to there, I think you'd absolutely enjoy the show for sure. It kind of starts out being like a Saved by the Bell type of show, and then it finally kind of kicks off into high gear.
There's a certain like moment. It's a big thing in the plot, and then in the first season, and then beyond that, I think it's really good. Before that, it's a lot more childish and light. It's still not bad, but the stakes aren't there, and the storytelling isn't as advanced. But again, as it progresses, honestly, we give one of the best redemption arcs that in Star Wars is in that show, and we don't talk about it. Tamra Vora is like,
Try not to prime them too much.
Yeah.
Do you think Jason was too old for Luke's Academy? I think Hera, because of Kanan, knew the pitfalls of that type of training, and not necessarily thought it was a bad thing, but rather wanted to give Jason the agency to choose on his own. Because in Ahsoka, he's showing all of the signs, and Hera is aware of it. But I think to a certain extent, Jason does have that upbringing with Kanan's history. So during that time, Ahsoka wasn't taking new students. I think by proximity, he would more or less train under Ahsoka rather than Luke.
Yeah.
Didn't Poe's actor say he'd never do Star Wars again? No.
Not that I've ever seen, but that also doesn't matter.
Well, they were also, I think, they were doing a panel on Andor at the Paley Fest.
Yeah, and he was the moderator.
And he mentioned Benjamin Bratt. We're not mentioned. He welcomed Benjamin Bratt into the conglomerate of Latinos in space. So, I mean, I think he's pretty proud to be a part of the family. Sucks for Jimmy, but
Ooh. Okay, so Chase, Forward Into the Black says Resistance is goated. Listen, in Starfighter, the love interest should be Torredoza.
She's 16.
Come on.
She's 16 in Resistance.
15 or 16, yeah.
And then Starfighter. Do we have a time on that? On Starfighter?
Starfighter is going to be post Tross, so I mean, from the time that it starts, where she's like 16, it's at least over a full year until we're post Tross.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably have some time after that. I'm just saying, put her in.
Yeah.
Put her in. Put her in, and then put Hype Phazon in there as well.
Played by Donald Faison.
Yeah.
5 years post Tross. No, that's why I'm asking if Starfighter has a explicit time, because I wouldn't want Tora to be the love interest in the movie at her age.
If she was still a child, yeah. No. That's yeah. But I was just trying to scale it to the future.
Yeah. If you think Resistance is childish, try Young Jedi Adventures. Young Jedi Adventures is not childish. It is skewed young.
And it's great.
I mean, let me qualify that statement. I think childish has a negative undertone to it. It's a kid's show, you know, but you know, if it were a more, I suppose, like a TV-14, like teenager to middle grade to adult type of show, and it had that kind of content, it would be childish. So, but I mean, it's a kid's show, so it's gonna be wacky and fun like that.
Now, you guys were asking us what our trilogies would be. What would your trilogies be?
Yeah, give
especially
us more time
you.
to think.
Yeah. Well, especially you, Alicia. I'm really curious. And also, am I pronouncing your name correctly? I would like to know that.
Connor asked, could we do some fan casting? Interesting.
Isabella Merced for Torredoza.
Then she.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. She would have to be an adult then.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is in the future, right?
No, I just don't want to be thirsty for, you know.
For children, yeah. No, that's a good thing.
Gotta stick with Dark Droids with Ajax as the villain. Comic ending set it up. So
Okay, I like that.
I'll go really simple with my trilogy. I'm going the Prey route. I want a Force mythology trilogy based on another galaxy where it's like very tribal, very primitive, and they're just getting started with understanding this larger kind of connective force, the Force. And we get to learn how they interact with it, what they call it, you know, the hardships that come with it. And it would be a very, very early to ancient kind of Greek tragedy, you know, with someone's fall, with no redemption. I want the entire trilogy to focus on them coming to terms with the Force, interpreting it, misinterpreting it, you know, calling it the Fire or something, just as other sects call it. And it ends with someone completely misreading it and falling to the dark side. And of course, it wouldn't be without its justification, right? You would have like a rival tribe or like an external force invading the planet, and then they would like, you know, fall to the dark side in an effort to fight them off. And they would fight them off, but they would end up falling, and that would then spell doom for that society. And the reason I don't want it to end in redemption is so that we can be very, very clear with the cost of the dark side and trying to control what is uncontrollable.
Okay.
Because a lot of our discussions about the dark side is hamstrung by the amount of redemptions that happens. It's like, yes, it's based entirely on the original trilogy's description that once you go down this path, forever will it rule your destiny. But we have Anakin and we have Ben, we have all these people who are returning to the dark side, to the light. And of course, they're very potent catalysts for, you know, Vader's son, Ventress, I don't want a spoiler alert, but Ventress and Quinlan Voss, you know, Leia sacrificing herself for her son. So those are all very potent examples of redemption, but it's not absolution. And I want a story where that the consequence is the eternal conclusion for their story, and they are a cautionary tale for the future generations that find their artifacts or find their ruins, you know.
Okay. My name is Greek, so it's hard to pronounce. Would that be Elisaya? For Light and Life.
I grew up with the sequels and I love them, but High Republic is my ride or die. Very right on. Would you still want your Old Republic movies that you mentioned in 2020? I mean, I didn't really kind of write them. I just kind of gave movie titles. So the premise is still very much up in the air. But yeah, like if you do an Old Republic and you tried to cover the entirety of that era, it would not be a trilogy. It would be the Old Republic saga. And you would have to, you know, make as many movies as it takes to tell that story. But you can't tell that in trilogies. I think you can
Ellie,
tell.
I'll stop butchering your name. I apologize. She's just like, listen, stop it. I need you to just stop it. Like, Mithronerodo.
Mithronerodo. That's what I said.
But by the way, Ellie, what is your favorite book from the High Republic? That's what I gotta ask. I'm curious.
I believe you said you wanted it to be the same format as the Marvel phase. Yeah, I mean,
a Geo
that's true.
trilogy. Okay. Ooh, you know what? Okay, officially, here's my official pitch for my trilogy. This is the official one. It's just Sith. We finally get our dark side movie that y'all been waiting for, that y'all want. There are no Jedis in this movie. We are on the planet with. We go back to the past. You know, we have the Sithari. You know, and like the planet, there's it's only Sithari and humans, right? The humans are the lower caste, and we have a human who's just really powerful in the dark side, who wants to rise up in the ranks and become the top Sith. And so we follow him through his Sith training, through, you know, what their schooling is like, his lightsaber stuff, and it's just brutal because they're cruel to each other. There's backstabbing, and all this stuff, and it's just a fight to the top. And then Lord Barriss is there, and we kill him.
And it would be about Scourge.
No, but seriously though, if we got to a story like that, where there wouldn't be any redemptions, right? Because there actually are no good guys in this. Even the protagonists are bad guys, and so we don't have to like, oh, is he going to turn to the light? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? No.
Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, it goes with my pitch about a story that doesn't have any redemption to. It's like it's the fatal cost of the dark side. Telling that with the Sithari too, with the Sith in general, because we have this. I wouldn't call it a problem, but we have this really weird we romanticize the Sith as like this edgelord, kind of like they look cool type of thing, but we all know that if we were all Sith, we'd all just be constantly trying to kill each other. So that wouldn't be necessarily a good kind of daily routine to live through. So telling a Sith story where there's no happy endings, right? I can imagine like building off of your Sith your Sith proposal there, that like the Sithari that comes out on top, like in the end, like the secret ending is him being backstabbed again, and no one won.
I mean, I imagine so.
With Leox Chassi being played by Matthew McConaughey. It's the first time I've ever heard it said like that. Matthew McConaughey. Let's see. A post-apocalyptic pre-PM about Sith in hiding, but one turns to the light and visits the world between worlds. Oh, didn't we talk about that at one point?
I think so, yeah.
We talked about a story where it was about the Sith turning to the light, and I think that's also an interesting story too. But I don't know if this is just like the latest obsession. But in that story, when they choose the light, they think that and you think it's all done. The Sith murder him, and there's no winners. I just want a movie where, if it's about the Sith, nobody wins. The Force wins, because it exacts the cost and it controls the cost. The Force comes with reciprocal tariffs.
Let's see here. I'm a Spooky Kid says, I'm a simple man. I just want Austin Powers 4. All right, I have a question. Who would the Power Girl, like the Bond girl equivalent, and you can't say Natalie Portman. Who would it be for an Austin Powers 4? Right. First one we had Elizabeth Hurley. Second one we had Heather Graham. Third one we had Beyonce. Who's number 4?
Would a Star Wars Rockstar game work? Yeah, absolutely. It would so work if you did.
Ana de Armas. Yeah.
Listen.
You're gonna see the ballerina?
Yes.
It's coming out soon.
I am going to see Karate Kid though tonight. I'm trying to make use of my A-list like more than ever.
Knock it off. All right.
But yeah, I am gonna go see Ballerina.
That dog has pink ears. And a pink tail.
But to your point about a Rockstar Star Wars game, just do Red Dead Redemption 2 in the Old Republic. And that works. Oh yeah, Plagueis talks about a Sith who tried to do both dark and light but failed. Some fans want Grey Jedi, want Plagueis canonized. Listen. I would do a trilogy about people trying to be Grey Jedi. And then at the end of it, they all fall to the dark side and die. And the eternal message behind that is the person that survives that and just says, what were we thinking? This is not possible.
Random side note, I think that Suki, named after the Avatar The Last Airbender character Suki,
Not Suki Stackhouse?
she's allergic to watermelon.
Interesting.
I think that's weird.
I don't hear too much about dog allergies outside of chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, well, she's been chewing on her paws, to the point of like pulling the hair out, and so yeah, we looked up and we're like, okay, it seems like it's allergies, and the only thing that's been new is we've been eating a lot of watermelon.
I still need to see Sinners, but my cat turned yellow, and I had to spend my money to make him not yellow.
Your cat got jaundiced.
But yeah, Sinners is a good movie too.
One time we used to have a Samoyed, which is a big white fluffy dog. One time, he came in the backyard and he was green, and we're like, "The hell?" turns out our neighbor had a really, really disgusting pool that hadn't been cleaned in forever, and he fell in.
Dang. I hate to laugh at that. Sorry. Also, when it comes to the sinners and stuff, I feel like those types of movies should make more money. Right? How many times in the last couple of years have we heard people complaining about Hollywood and how there's no more originality? Everything's a remake, everything's an adaptation. But no one goes to see Sinners. No one goes to see original IP.
Yeah.
Yeah, put where your mouth is, man.
And granted, you know, people like us are part of the problem, content creators, because making content about a big IP drives more traction. It drives more audience views, you know, and we get more people looking at our videos. And then that's where people interact. But like, doesn't mean we don't love these other stuff. Doesn't mean we shouldn't watch them. So just understand, even if your favorite channel is not talking about these smaller projects, still go see them.
Yeah. But if being a great Jedi is really impossible, then why would The Last Survivor say that's impossible in the exact way Luke Skywalker reacted to "I am your father" line? Because he's saying it's impossible. Like he's a survivor, but he's all like, you know, he's all decrepit, and the Force has, you know, exacted its toll on his body. All of his friends are dead, and he's like, and I said it satirically in the way Luke Skywalker says it, but in actuality, he would be saying it in a moment of revelation that it is impossible to draw from the dark side continuously.
So you know how I think in like movie quotes and songs? When you said all of his friends are dead, I could only think of the bank owner at the very beginning of The Dark Knight. Yeah. You and your friends are dead. That's how he says it.
In answer to your question, I truly couldn't pick a fave High Republic book, but I have read the first one several times now, and literally I'm crying within minutes, so maybe that's the answer. Sometimes it's that simple, you know? Temptation of the Force is my favorite High Republic book. Right on.
That is a great choice. That is, it's up there. It's that might be my second favorite or third. It is really hard for me to pick a favorite because there's some that I loved all the way through. There's some that I felt had higher peaks. There's some that just warmed my heart in a certain way, and there's some that made my heart drop, like my stomach dropped, like you fell. And that's the emotion that I got, and I still remember my first time. That's what I will say about the High Republic is I have vivid memories of the emotions I felt throughout the certain spots in a way that I don't really have with books.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kanan versus Cal, who you got? Personally, I think Cal got somewhat better feats and better abilities. I mean, if you're talking about canon Cal, Kanan's taking that one because we're not talking about game mechanics Cal, where you get to learn all of the abilities and moves. So you know you have to kind of contextually come to a conclusion as to how skilled Cal is based on his who trained him, and what he's gone through, and then what who trained Kanan. You know, we have who's Cal's teacher? I forget his name already.
Lasat man. General Lasat.
Where we have
Sorry, lads, I'm back. Fell down the stairs. I hope you're okay. Don't
apologize for falling down the stairs. Sorry, I fell down the stairs. No, don't do that. But we do have Depa Balaba, and he fought in the Clone Wars, you know, and you know he became a rebel. There's a lot of experience there with Kanan.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Kanan because I think Kanan has gone up against more frequently foes. Like, I think he just has the experience edge. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see. Kanan's also very adaptable. But yeah, I mean, like Pep said, we would need we need a novelization of those books so we actually have a Kanan playthrough, right? Because listen, your Cal may have been bonkers good and parry absolutely everything.
Our Cal.
You know, Pep's Cal got killed by a Rancor about 1,000 times.
Well, in all honesty, yes, 1,000 times, but ended up killing the Rancor. So
yeah.
That's a point in my Cal's favor. Though I don't think it ultimately counts, because if you die once, you just died.
So video games also have, you know, the Groundhog Day mechanic. You know what I mean? So like, if he's coming in and he hasn't learned all of Kanan's moves,
yeah,
you know. Although I will say, between Kanan and Ogdo Bogdo, I'm gonna give it to Ogdo.
Jens, did you see my High Republic horror movie pitch earlier? Drengir and Shrikarai. That would be cool. I think that would be really good if it was done in the vein of like the first Alien movie.
Yeah. Oh, we totally missed this. Salvador Mendez. Hello, and welcome. It said, do you think Darth Talon could be the main villain of Simon Kinberg trilogy?
Ooh. Looks like that's another DYAD episode too.
I mean, we could talk about that a lot. At the end of the day, we need to find out a lot more about what's going to happen with this Maul show, right? Because that's where we're going to have her pop up. We're going to have her learn. But ultimately, we've told stories in the future from that point in time, and she hasn't been in it. So we have to reconcile that. Like, does that mean that she dies? Does that mean she goes into hiding? Does that mean she just moves into the Mandalorian space and is being a terror out there? I don't know. You know, there's a lot of possibilities. I almost, though, and I don't know if this is blasphemous. Well, I mean, Simon Kinberg, like, if his trilogy is post Tross, I almost don't want the Sith to come back. But that's just me.
I think well, I mean, much like the Acolytes of the Beyond and the Ascendants, I think like a facsimile of the Sith could come back, trying to revive the Order.
Yes. And that's what I would like, which I know is kind of like what Boruto is doing, but Boruto manga is great, so
Luciano says my Cal is still on Dathomir, and Goob says mine got stuck on Gendai for 9 hours until I got up the hardest difficulty. That's a great way to paint this versus. Honestly, I think Cal versus Kanan goes like you playing Cal on Grandmaster difficulty. And how that happens to you and who wins with you playing that fight is who wins. In my case, Kanan would win 1,000 times before I beat him.
Listen, how often did you die to just that random trooper with the clubs? Because he would spin around and do that extra unblockable move, and you'd just forget about it. Listen, because Kanan never died to that move.
How often did you die just walking off of the ledge of a map or not making the jump?
Yeah.
Connor's just a little soggy now? Okay. Give us a Fallen Jedi.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Conan said, I like the High Republic mangas, which, fantastic. I would do, I mean, we could get a live action Lily Toriasi. I think that would be super cool. Someone who just like hates youths, but then softens over time. I'm into it. Listen, I feel like we're about to have a dyad moment. If I'm reading your mind right now, you're thinking of a fan cast for Lily Torres. Okay, can we say the name that we got at the same time?
I'm not on anything yet. What, you already got someone for Lily?
Yeah.
It's tough. I don't think we're gonna get a dyad moment out of this.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Because I have to think hard. Because all of the Asian casting that has run the mill in my head has been strictly for Satele.
Well, let me know when you have one in your mind. Let me see here. I want a Junji Ito Star Wars manga.
That could be something for sure. Man.
In my mind's eye.
There is someone that I'm thinking about right now. I forgot her actor name.
Dang. Okay, I guess we're not gonna have a dyad moment. But would you like to hear my fan cast?
Sure.
Anna Sawai.
I mean, I already had her for Satele, though. A young Satele. I mean, I agree with that casting. She could do it too. That's the only reason we didn't have a dyad moment, is because I had her cast for something else.
That's fine.
But
like, if we're talking about casting, like, if in your mind you've casted them, that doesn't exist, so you could use them again.
I could, but I've landed on. I remember who I was thinking about right now, and I'm gonna put the picture on the stream.
Thane, stop it.
If I could find a better quality picture. Hold on.
This cat is doing the thing again where he's behind my monitor, but he keeps trying to pull on my mouse cable. It's the only time I regret having a wired mouse.
Why are all these pictures low quality?
Let's see, I kind of hate manga, but I bought the High Republic one for my partner to get him into High Republic. I might try it at some point. I mean, you got it right. It's a matter of completionism. Illy, just to ease your way in, go pick up the manga for Lost Stars. You can't hate that.
No, you can't.
What's your cat's favorite actual toy? My cat's favorite toy is, I mean, I guess there's two things. One, we have just a thing that's on a string, and when I play with it a certain way, like, she just jumps, he I always say she because we originally thought it was a girl, and her name would have been Avar. But lo and behold, balls. Anyways, he likes to jump really high, so I'm gonna play with him with this. But then the other thing is just a laser pointer. Actually, it's so good that if he knows the sound that the laser pointer makes when I touch it. And so I can just touch it and it'll run from wherever he is into the room.
All right. My casting.
Illy said, "What's Lost Stars?"
Only your favorite book that you're going to read. By Claudia Gray. It is part of the Journey to Force Awakens book series. And it is a story about it's a story about characters that start in the Empire, and there's stories of defection and romance.
It's beautiful. It's just it's star-crossed lovers throughout the original trilogy. Like in the background of the entire original trilogy, you get people from the same planet, but come from two different walks of life.
Claudia Gray that I haven't read? Blimey. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, so it is a regular novel. So definitely, you can pick that up. But they also made it into a manga as well. So if you want to try, or do both, read the book first and then buy the manga so you can see how cute everyone looks.
Oh, X-Core also said guilty of not reading Lost Stars. I'm surprised everyone hasn't read it. At least of who I know are book readers. Yeah. All right, so this is my casting for Lily Torrasi. Her name is Teresa Ting. She was in an independent martial arts movie called Blade of the 47 Ronin with Anna Akana. First of all, yes. Second of all, she played someone who dual wields in that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Lily through and through. I feel like I need to watch this with you. It's campy. It's kind of C quality, but I think you'd still appreciate it.
What's odd is my backup fan choice was Anna Akana. Just because she has the sass of like how she views the younglings and stuff. I think she could do that really, really well.
Yeah. Blade of the 47 Ronin was good fun. Thank you, Alicia. Or Alicia. I'm
Illy.
I'm glad you actually watched it because it got panned but it's like it was like a low budget independent movie, I liked all of the action in it. The action was great.
Does your cat pretend to be a parrot? No, my cat pretends to be Batman. It's always like up on something high looking down. It's like, I will protect this city.
So,
and Suki hates it. It's pretty funny.
So how would you feel about watching this movie like later?
Probably not tonight, but I'm definitely watching it.
It's not indie though. It's a sequel to 47 Ronin produced by Universal Studios, but it was very low budget. And it was straight to streaming.
Lo and behold, balls, Choco, 2025. I'm proud of that. My cat steals socks and proudly announces it to the whole house when she finds them. Now, Suki's favorite thing to play with ever is actually, it used to be a My Little Pony like doll, that was made with remarkable quality. Like that thing lasted forever. But currently, her absolute favorite thing to play with is someone's hand in a sock. If you put a sock on your hand, her tail just goes crazy, and she's like, she's gonna attack. If she hears the sound of you sliding a sock over your hand, she's like, "What? Where is it?" It's pretty funny.
Okay, let's move on to bonus. First of all, I want to shout out everybody on the TikTok side for giving us 22,000 likes. That's a lot of cramped thumbs and fingers. So appreciate you.
Yeah, that's a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
Very low budget and straight to streaming, and yet a sequel to a freaking big budget Keanu Reeves movie. I know all about Keanu Reeves.
When does the show for Baby Assassins come out? That's what I want to know.
It's out.
Oh.
It's been done.
Well, I will watch it.
I don't know if it's on anything you can. I mean, I sail the high seas for it.
I listen. Yeah, I mean, we acquire certain things. You just have to. Although it's down the list. I think the next show I'm supposed to watch is, actually, it feels weird to say the title. Never mind. The title is "We Are Lady Parts."
That's definitely weird to say.
But it's a band. It's like it's a bunch of like South Asian women who start a band, and they're like alternative, and they just do band stuff. And I heard it's good and funny and all this stuff. So that's next on the list.
Who would you cast Alec Baldwin as in Star Wars?
A corrupt Imperial.
Yeah. I don't really see him being anything else other than that too. Like, it's weird. Or like a, I don't know, like a moisture farmer that really doesn't have much consequence in the storyline.
Listen, he never made a massive impression on me in films. With the exception of his amazing speech in Glengarry Glen Ross. But as Jack Donaghy, I thought he was an incredible character. And so that's what I picture him as. Like he represents the business interests in the Empire is what I would like to see.
I don't know if I have any other castings for him apart from that. Alec Baldwin, to the same degree, to kind of share Choco's sentiment, he didn't really make an impression on me.
Alec Baldwin plays an Imperial who shoots his director. Becomes a rebel. Woo! Dang. Rude.
For sure, it would be a satire, right?
Or a documentary. I don't know.
A mockumentary. Deemed and not monetized. Not true.
Choco, have you seen Glengarry with Bill Burr? No. That sounds weird.
What is that, like a deepfake thing?
No, apparently he did it on Broadway.
Oh.
And this was like really recent. Wait, yeah, it's pretty recent.
Oh, I have an addendum for my original RIAN JOHNSON trilogy pitch. We're recasting Luke.
Listen, it had Kieran Culkin, Bob Odenkirk, and Bill Burr. So that sounds amazing, actually.
Jeez. Vladimir Kozlovas? I don't know who that is. It sounds Russian, though.
I mean, well done.
I'm trying to think of other fan castings, because we went through a lot of pitches for the Rian Johnson trilogy, and I'm trying to think of any pitches that require a fan casting or a casting. Now I'm thinking of casting for my like prey tribalistic primitive period piece about the Force on a remote galaxy. I mean, and it might be a Latina. Don't at me, man. Shit.
You know, although it could be
Nah, I'm gonna do
I mean,
the movie's gonna be prey style. It's gonna be primitive. It's gonna be a period piece in another galaxy where that tribe is exploring the Force and interpreting it for the first time, and it stars Becky G.
let me put the face to it.
Huh?
Oh. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you didn't know who Becky G was?
Not off of you said Becky G and my mind pictured Carol G. So I had to wait, am I thinking of the right person?
Mark Hamill can play Luke Skywalker's hand. Certainly, because Luke Skywalker's hand doesn't have to speak. That's still like gives me nightmares. Forces of Destiny, and hearing old Mark Hamill over Return of the Jedi Luke. Ugh. Who would you cast Ben Affleck as? A movie or a show that's based around the Boston of Star Wars.
I mean, yeah, so he could be the same planet that Bill Burr is from in Star Wars, you know?
Luciano says, I'd love to see Jeremy Irons as an Imperial. Becky G the Power Ranger? Yes, Becky G the Power Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she is fine.
Where? This Lost Stars book is hard to come by. You know what? You know why? There are people who, it's such a good book that there are people who just buy it whenever they see it so that they can give it to people to make them start reading Star Wars books. That's how good it is. But
what planet is the Boston of Star Wars?
Don't worry about it. California says, I ate too much queso and have a tummy ache. Listen, you know, you have a tummy ache because you've been dropping You've been doing hot drops in Apex all day.
Ben Affleck will be Daredevil with a lightsaber. Nah, Charlie Cox is Daredevil now.
Y'all should do fan casting for people in the Star Wars community. That's a great idea. Maybe you want to do that for next week's episode?
We could actually. Next week it would be kind of cool to do this because next week we got good old Denzel Green.
Awesome.
Does he mean fan casting of like actual people like us? In like a biopic?
Listen, I think we either write a story that has a lot of the people in the community in it, or we pick roles for people in the community and pitch projects for each of them. I'm leaning towards the second one.
I picked Steve Buscemi to play Chet.
Hello, younglings.
That's meta. If you know what I'm talking about.
I was thinking the second one. Yeah, I'm leaning towards the second one as well. But yeah, we should do that and next week. And I think we could probably start wrapping up here.
Yeah. What time is it? 8, 9, 10 in the East Coast? What time is it for you, Illy and Connor? This is really late in the AMs, huh?
2 a.m.? Maybe.
So we have one Skarsgård in Star Wars, cast the others. Alexander Skarsgård for sure is playing a Jedi Master in the Old Republic. And you gotta give him his Eric North locks back. That flowing blonde hair.
Here's what we do. Similar to Lost Stars, but not quite. We tell a story of a family that is from like a more well-to-do place, but kind of on the dregs of the galaxy, who gets swept up in the Imperial machine. And so we have 3 brothers joining the ranks, and they each have different goals. We get to see like they all grew up in the same families, they all have the same parents, but they're all different, so they're all going to go in different directions. And it's all the Hemsworth boys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Diane have a
12 p.m. on
Discord community?
Saturday?
We do, although we're not very good at it.
We're just not very active in Discord, which is really bad. I'm sorry, but you are more than welcome to join the Discord. Actually, please do. Illy, do you? Just out of curiosity, do you do audiobooks? Do you like audiobooks?
Naughty Wookie on TikTok said, "Hot take: Season 1 of Andor is way better than Season 2."
Ooh,
that is a hot take. I disagree, but
I mean, I can see where they're coming from. Like Season 1 would be more complete. There's gaps in the story because of how quickly we had to move through Season 2. But the condensing of the seasons made things move and the action pop off. I think it helped with the pacing, but there are definitely gaps, and some of the small moments are the things that I loved the most. Like we didn't get small moments with B2EMO and stuff like that. We got a little bit of them, but like again, I want to know what happened to Cinta. Why was she off? Why was she injured? How So like, give me
What
a
led to
book
all of them
that
leaving
covers.
Luthen? in that- in
Give me
that
a
gap?
book.
Yeah, no, I for sure can see how someone could come to that conclusion. You know, I just personally think that season 2 was more consequential to the narrative. Although without season 1, you don't have a season 2, so you know it's all relative.
I mean, I honestly feel like season 1 needed to be what it was, so that season 2 could be what it was.
Yeah.
You know, season 1 had to take its time, marinate, so we can get to know and fall in love with and understand the character dynamics. So then we could, like, this was all people, and then this one was all plot. You know.
I foresee your future, young Jedi. You will write a script for a fan film, and you will crowdfund it, and it shall be awesome sauce. I mean,
Maybe someday.
that's certainly in the books for sure. I think we have to spend a lot more time building our credibility.
Resume. Yeah.
In and I hate to say it, like, we have a lot of credibility within the community, but in terms
We
of
got to build it
YouTube,
elsewhere,
Yeah.
outside of it. Yeah.
because within these walls, everybody knows that we know our stuff, that we are studious of the lore and we understand the movies. But you know, outside of these walls, that's still very much in the air. And that's not to say that we need to be authority figures, or we need to have high credibility to write Star Wars. We're just saying, to crowdfund it, we would have to display a level of knowledge that, you know, is unquestionable.
Yes.
Which is how Chet funded, or not Chet funded, but which is how, you know, his Vader series got kicked off, is because he had an audience of people who trusted him and, you know, wanted to see his story to fruition. So it's definitely there. I mean, I had designs on a from a certain point of view short series where each episode was just following a different Padawan learning a different lesson, and it would be trials of courage, trials of patience, trials of, you know, humility, trials of emotion, stuff like that.
Illy, join the Discord.
You are the lore masters. I am but your humble apprentice. I mean, that's again within these walls. People know us, and we don't go around outside of these walls being like, "Oh, we're lore masters. We know best." Like, it's.
And also, again, as lore masters, that just means that we try to facilitate people learning the lore. You know.
Yeah.
So that's our goal. We want you to know the lore. We want to encourage you. That's why we're always trying to get people to read books. Because once you start reading books, then you are in it. I think one of the big problems that we have in Star Wars is that people have decided that Disney doesn't know what they're doing, even though Lucasfilm is the same people that it was before. And so instead of taking new information in, they are like, no, this is wrong. And you're like, it's not wrong. A, it can't be wrong because they make the lore, you know. But B, like, it feels so egotistical to be like, you guys, Lucasfilm, the story group, Pablo Hidalgo, you don't know Star Wars. I know Star Wars. So you're like, no, that's not. No, that ain't it.
And even with the people that aren't with Lucasfilm anymore, I'm sure Lucasfilm has access to them. They have a lot more access to what Star Wars was 40 years ago than a happen chance interview that you might have done with someone, you know.
Exactly.
Hell, they could call in George Lucas. He's been on the sets of the shows visiting, and while he doesn't have, you know, arbitration powers to decide what happens and what goes, he's still visiting these sets and he's giving his you know his insights and his advice as to like they have access to the guy that created Star Wars. They can call him in if they really needed to know something. They could call George and see what he thinks.
Yeah, I mean, the people act like they're not friends. You know what I mean? Like him and Kathleen go way back. They are great friends. She only has the job because he put it in the contract to make her the head of the company. You know, obviously he's close with Dave, and yeah.
Illy says, fun fact, I saw Rogue One when I was a kid. I didn't know what was going to happen at the end. Little Lily crying her eyes out for like 30 minutes when the credits rolled. Love that childhood memory. I'm glad you have that memory. Lots of fans, lots of different memories, lots of different entry points into Star Wars, and that's something that we have to cultivate and appreciate about Star Wars, because every generation has a different Star Wars. We often say this a lot. This more recent generation grew up with Star Wars. They grew up inside Star Wars. They can get to go to Galaxy's Edge. They can go inside the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, and you can pick up Legos. You may have got a Lego set before you ever even saw Star Wars, you know what I mean? Or picked up toys. It's just always been in the zeitgeist, which is pretty awesome, and I envy y'all. But yeah, I mean, do we have any final thoughts that we want to grab?
Final thoughts is just be you. Love Star Wars the way you love Star Wars. You know?
I mean, I had someone reach out to me and they asked, they're like, what's wrong with me? I don't like The Last Jedi. And I've really tried. And that broke my heart. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with you. You didn't like it. Like that's okay. I'm not trying to get anyone to like it. We just want to correct information. But, you know, yeah. So you are you, and we love you being you, and keep being you.
Yeah, we've had multiple varieties of those types of sentiments. I mean, I had a comment on my video recently where they said, you really made me open my eyes, and on my recent watch of The Last Jedi, I loved it more than I used to, and there's always that chance that happens. But as we keep saying with this mission, the mission statement of our channel and the content that we do, it's never about you guys need to like this or you guys need to dislike that. Unlike the chuds and the carpet nuggets that exert their influence over people, impressionable people, that need them to hate everything. We're just correcting false information. And if that false information is corrected and you still do not like that property, it's all good.
Hate is boring, easy, and anti-intellectual, like fundamentally. So, yeah. When I hear someone say bad writing, I get really sad, because no one would ever be like, why do you like it? Good writing. Like, you think that person's an idiot. It's the same thing. Anyways,
shout out to everybody on the TikTok side for 22,000 likes. We'll think of something to celebrate that, but one thing is for sure, you do have a spicy noodle or spicy challenge in the future waiting for you guys. So thank you guys so much. Thanks for all of the gifts, the heart me's, the rose, the sunglasses. It all goes towards DYAD Con 2. So stay tuned and keep an eye out for any videos that we post in regards to planning that out next year. Shout out to everybody on the YouTube side. I said the thing. Sorry. Shout out to everybody on the play button side. You guys rock. It's been fun talking to you guys and hanging out with you guys as always. But that's it. On to the next one.
For Light and for Life.
We are all Star Wars.
And read Lost Stars. That's fantastic. Join the Discord.